With the NBA season coming to an end, I think it's time to look at some of the most disappointing players. My stats are telling me that well over half of you guys that have been watching the videos lately still aren't subscribed. I don't know what you're doing, hit that button. If you guys like the content, hit that like button, and let's hop into this. Now we need to make it clear that perspective matters. If Curry was having a disappointing season, that's probably still better than 95% of the league. Context also matters a lot, which is why we're going to start this off with Tyler Herro. By most measures, Tyler Herro is having an amazing start to his career. He was slept on in the draft and ended up falling to the 13th pick, where he went to the Miami Heat. He was one of the biggest surprises as a rookie. He averaged 14 points, shooting 43% from the field and 39% from three. But it was his role in Miami making a run to the NBA Finals that had so many excited about his future. Following that season, I think it's safe to say most people would have him jumping up to the 3rd overall pick in a redraft, which I think gives you a pretty good idea of where the sentiment was. Now, this season that Herro is having by itself would not be disappointing. He's a late lottery pick in his second season, averaging 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists, shooting 43% from the field and 34% from three. But there's two main things that put him on this list. The first one being the expectations said going into the season, but that's really not a big one. He's having a solid year. The disappointment mainly stems from the trade value that they gave him, especially when it comes to that James Harden situation. The Heat were a team Harden had on his list, and it was looking like there was a very real chance Miami could make a deal happen if they were willing to let go of Herro. Now, obviously, it was going to have to be much more than just him. We would have most likely seen some combination of guys like Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, and future draft assets. But it was Miami's unwillingness to let go of Herro that stalled trade talks and eventually saw Harden go to the Brooklyn Nets. Since arriving there, he's made him one of the scariest teams in the league, averaging 25 points, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds, shooting 47% from the field and 36% from three. The Nets are now one game shy of the top seed in the East, while the Heat sit as the 6th seed, looking unlikely to make another run like we saw last season, something that wouldn't be the case if Harden was on this roster. Yes, the Heat have a lot to get excited about going forward, and Bam Adebayo, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Herro. But when you have a chance to get a player like Harden, you don't let a player like Herro stop you. But considering that happened, I have to say, Herro has been pretty disappointing. We're going to continue with some young guys, but we need to remember we're talking about disappointing, not bad. I think a good example of this is Pascal Siakam. After winning Most Improved and playing a massive role in the Raptors winning the title 2 seasons ago, the future of Siakam looked very bright, and he wouldn't disappoint the following season. In the first 8 games, he was averaging 28 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists, shooting 52% from the field and 41% from three. At this point, it really looked like he was going to take the jump to superstar status. That didn't necessarily prove to be the case, but he still ended up taking a pretty big jump, finishing the year averaging 23 points. This year, it was fair to expect another jump out of him, or at the least, be able to maintain the production we have seen, but he's been really disappointing. He's averaged 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting 45% from the field, and really regressing as a shooter, now only shooting 30% from three. It's been a weird development for Raptors fans. After the departure of Kawhi Leonard, this team was still filled with a lot of hope due to Siakam, but that's changed, and I think most fans are just crossing their fingers that the luck is on their side in the lottery so that they can really turn things around. Regardless, I think it's safe to say Siakam's been pretty disappointing so far. We mentioned this next player earlier on in the season, and while he's missed a lot of time since, I still think he's played enough to label him one of the biggest disappointments of the season, and that's Cam Reddish. I've said this a million times, but I really love the Hawks getting Reddish in 2019. I thought it was amazing value, as I didn't think his college performance was really telling of the player he could be. Overall, his rookie season wasn't great. He averaged 11 points, shooting 38% from the field and 33% from three. But there was a lot of great runs and bright spots that gave me confidence we were going to see a lot of improvement, but that has not been the case. In the 26 games he's played this season, he's averaged 11 points, shooting 37% from the field and 26% from three. I didn't know it was possible for him to shoot with worse efficiency. Now, he's been dealing with an Achilles injury that hasn't allowed him to turn things around, but nonetheless, it's safe to say it's been disappointing. The last one of the young guys is going to have people going crazy, but I don't really care, and that's Morant. Again, he's having a great year, 19 points and 7 assists, but seeing little progress year over year is a little disappointing. Last season, he took home Rookie of the Year, averaging 18 points and 7 assists, shooting 48% from the field and 34% from 3. There was no reason to believe he wasn't well on his way to becoming one of the top point guards in the league, and doing that quickly. While he's still a great young player, for him to have very similar volume to last season and actually regress in his efficiency, now shooting 45% from the field and 30% from 3, it's disappointing. I also have a lot of concerns with his frequency of performances where he just disappears, puts up sub 10 points, considering this team wants him to be their franchise player going forward. So yeah, it's not great following the expectations we had after such a dominant rookie year. I'm going to have the same energy if LaMelo is putting up the same numbers on slightly worse efficiency. Expectations evolve, but I still think Ja has a bright future ahead. Now we go into the veterans that really haven't looked great, and we'll start it off with Kevin Love. Love is far from the 26-year-old being sent to Cleveland in a blockbuster trade, but just last season, he was averaging 18 points and 10 rebounds, shooting 37% from 3, so there was really no reason to think he was going to have this significant of a fall off. So far this year, he's averaged less than 12 points and 7 rebounds, shooting 40% from the field. He's missed a lot of time due to injury, but still very concerning, and I think his most recent performance against Washington really sums up the season he's having, as he played 22 minutes, grabbed 10 rebounds, but didn't take a single shot. This was coming off a game where he went 2 for 11 from the field. He's in a weird spot, as he's owed $60 million over the next 2 seasons. We're hearing that he has a lot of interest in going to Portland, but that contract makes it tough. It's really looking like the Cavaliers might just bite the bullet and buy him out, like we recently saw with Blake Griffin. But speaking of Blake Griffin, how can we have a disappointment video without him on it? 2 years ago, while he was far from the high-flying player we had come to know, he was able to adapt and still be very productive, averaging 25 points, shooting 46% from the field, and 36% from 3. To start this season on Detroit, his numbers were down to 12 points a game, shooting 37% from the field and 32% from 3. He eventually was bought out and signed with the Brooklyn Nets. Since getting there, he's been a solid piece in their rotation, averaging 10 points on solid efficiency. But considering we're talking about Blake Griffin, who was supposed to be playing this season on a max contract, he's been disappointing in every sense of the word. There was a time where a lot of people thought the Celtics didn't really lose out on much when Kyrie went to Brooklyn and they were able to replace him with Kemba Walker, who at the time was averaging 26 points in Charlotte. Fast forward to today, and Kyrie's having the best season of his career on one of the top teams in the league, averaging 27 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds, shooting 50% from the field and 38% from 3. While Kemba Walker is on a struggling Celtics team, averaging 18 points and 5 assists, shooting 41% from the field. While still a solid player, there's a lot of concerns going forward. Lastly, we've got Draymond Green. Green still brings a lot of value as both a defender and a playmaker, but his regression as a scorer has really been disappointing. There was a time when Green was averaging 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists, shooting 49% from the field and 39% from 3, a time when he was splashing 5 threes in one half during the NBA Finals. And now, he's averaging 7 points, shooting less than 25% from 3. There is a lot of talk right now about the Warriors going forward with Curry, Wiggins, and the return of Klay Thompson. But Draymond is just an afterthought, which is concerning considering he's owed $75 million over the next 3 seasons. That's the video, guys. You guys tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe, and peace.